specifically. So really, only the Olaf jumps out as me as something that he would play. Volibear, another one we have already seen in the series. But when it comes to Syndra counter picks, we have a champion called Echo, not really part of the meta anymore, but Scout was someone who has pulled that out before. Always a possibility, Munchables. I want to open my mind to the possibilities.
Hang on a second. Junja, all of last year, was all about the Nidalee Renekton, right? That was the whole deal. When it was Junja, it was Nidalee Renekton on the top side. They're going to go for the Viego. Maybe it was just a callback to what they used to do. Scout brings out the Sylas. They're totally changing things up.
And I'm really surprised with this one, right? We saw the nerf come out on 11:15 to Sylas's W, the healing going down, felt like a big thing in laning phase, making very easy to bully out. Sure, getting a bit of damage back in his Q, but doesn't feel like it meant that much. We haven't really seen any Sylas at all throughout LPL playoffs, and going towards the opposite side, WE gonna pick up the Jayce for Breathe in the top side.
So definitely a totally different track, right? Totally different to what we've been seeing so far in this series. Kalista banned away by WE. Wouldn't be too surprised to see like a Vayne ban as well, to be honest, after Viper's performance in the last game in EDG. Answering kind, taking an AD carry away from Elk.
Yeah, so we already see, though, right? Two very different distinctions. WE going to be playing at controlling range, playing at a distance. They have some pick, they have some poke setup already available to them. EDG going back to the close-knit brawling, coming out with champions that all want to be able to dive the backline. So I like the bans coming out from WE so far, taking out a lot of this all-in potential for EDG. I mean, WE already has a decent amount of magic damage coming in from Syndra, and then, of course, like, Volibear has a lot of innate magic damage in his kit, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't even hate a Ziggs ban coming out just for the fact that I think the champion is just so absolutely disgustingly obnoxious.
And also, we've seen how much WE are able to play around that Ziggs, right? It's clearly their most practiced strategy. And now, I mean, Varus is available. I feel like with this composition, the lethality Varus would make a lot of sense, at least to me.
I agree with you. I mean, it's something we've seen teams just fall away from, right? We've got more of it since we've gotten to the higher spots in playoffs. Teams like RNG liking pulling it out. Teams like EDG have obviously already played it in this series, but would love that one. WE gonna go for some disengage, so realize like, hey, they're drafting a lot of melee champions that want to jump in. Braum incredibly good against them with his ultimate, with his passive, being able to tag them and allow people like Breathe on the Jayce to be able to lock him down. And this actually would surprise me either, right? When you're already theorizing that the enemy team would do well with something like a Varus pick, EDG just taking it away for themselves. Varus, very much a jack of all trades, pretty much almost master of all of them as well. And then we could see the Rell come back out. There is more range and more distance to play with on WE side this time around, so it can be a little bit harder to find those, you know, 4-man Magnet Storms that we were seeing in the past game if he does decide to lock this one in.
I'm really curious what AD carry WE go for here as well, because, you know, you think about the Ezreal, Ziggs, and the Varus are the three that would jump out to me. Looks like we could have the old switcheroo of this matchup, the Vayne being hovered here, Lyric.
Yeah, so once again, I mean, Viper's going to have a lot of room to... Oh, Munchables, maybe you were baited. I actually thought that one was locked in as well. I was going to say, that one just sounds so rough, right? You're playing Vayne into Varus, you're playing Vayne into Rell. Two champions, very easy time of locking you down, but instead they do go with the Ashe, bringing some engage themselves, bringing some more poke with those volleys able to come out. And to me, WE's composition, right, jumps right away is a lot more of a pick composition. You have a lot of single target CC coming out from Syndra and from Ashe. You have a lot of pryos to work with, invade into the enemy jungle, and start setting up like objectives going into the mid game. To our EDG, full-on dive composition, get straight to the backline, coordinate, jump in all together, and you should be doing well. The thing I want to see, right, is this mid lane matchup, because...
Let that go without a fight. Shanks on the Syndra against Scout on the Sylas. Feels like a battle of signatures.
Feels like it will be very pivotal, to who wins this game. Is Scout gonna elect into taking the fleet footwork in this matchup? No Conqueror to be seen. Knows that he's gonna have a really rough laning phase coming out this time around, and we're gonna see WE potentially go for this level 1. They have Braum incredibly strong, as well as both Ashe and Syndra, all three champions at level 1, just have a lot of easy ways of putting damage onto you without being in range to take damage. A lot of CC between them as well, you know, coming out with the Braum Q. So Just going to get a little bit of a ward, and I'm keeping my eyes onto WE, because WE should have some of these lane prios that we talked about. They're going to have push in bot because they're not leashing. They should have push in mid. What picks can they set up in the enemy jungle to find a victory with?
That'll be the question as we see both of our junglers starting on the bottom side of the map, and both teams will have information, right? Because of the ward that came out from Scout onto the chickens here, Beishang will be spotted when he moves towards his top side, and vice versa with the ward that was on the red buff. So we should have full information. I'd assume full clears coming out from our junglers here. It's when we get to the crabs that I think this jungle matchup is going to get interesting.
I still favor Beishang early in like a straight up scrap, right? I think Volibear's base numbers are still incredibly strong. If he is able to hit that Sky Splitter, get the shield on himself, and hit the damage onto Jiejie, going to be doing quite well. He's going to have the follow-up from mid lane, as we see here. I mean, Scout just taking so much punishment, and, I mean, not able to do anything about it. We hit on, you know, the nerfs coming in on his W. I believe it was the detonation damage on his Q, so the second part of his Q that did get more damage. So your laning could be a bit better, especially once you do get, like, Everfrost, and you can guarantee that damage. But this kind of matchup isn't a poke war. This is the kind of matchup where Sylas would want to go for the all-in to be able to fight it, so he will just be struggling. And it looks like we're going to be looking towards early skirmishes on the top half of the map. But pings are coming out on blue buff.
Beishang moves over towards this one. Jiejie does have his smite available. As soon as he sees him, should be able to go for that. Yep. Jiejie drops his smite, takes the blue buff. Beishang just a little bit too late to be able to actually contest. And instead is like, well, maybe I'll toy with the idea of a Gromp instead. Jiejie going for his wolves, will be spotted if he tries to move over. Remember, Jiejie just used his smite, so it's going to be very difficult for him to contest unless he has his laners moving over. Beishang could be in trouble here. You can see Scout and Flandre moving their way over, but it will be the Gromp reset here, and it means Beishang can just move over to the crab.
Yeah, so Beishang at least should be able to get both scuttles. Looks like they're just going to have bot lane pick up the bot side scuttle now, because Beishang didn't finish his top side camp, so probably wants to get up there, get his red buff, get his Krugs already start cycling through. And WE kind of in a position that EDG were in game one.
Exactly. They've flipped around the play of what EDG did to them earlier on in the series, right? Let your AD carry take that Scuttle Crab and take the plays on the top side of the map. So nicely done here by WE, giving EDG a taste of their own medicine.
I do feel like for EDG, we're more looking at the later stages of the game, though, right? You have a Sylas, you have a Viego, you have a pretty decent front line coming out from the Rell and Renekton, and a lot of good ultimates of steal coming out from Volibear, Ashe, Braum, just a plethora of choices for Scout. So the skirmishes, the late game team fighting, I definitely like what EDG have. For WE, it is a lot more about how they're going to use these lane pressures, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see them start making moves up towards the top half of the map. If Breathe can start getting some heavy trades off onto Flandre, you have Prio in mid, you can roam Beishang up top. Doesn't matter if you can dive and get the killer necessarily. You can zone Flandre off some waves and start building Flandre a nice advantage, you know, until the Rift Herald comes up, because you're already going to have topside Prio. That should be guaranteed yours.
So you're thinking EDG play towards the top side, and it's WE that will play towards the bottom side this time around, which is definitely a change up from what we're used to from these two teams. But again, with Jiejie coming into the roster, you expect a change up in styles, especially from EDG. As it's Shanks in trouble this time around. Great scat of the week, but still aggressed upon by Jiejie. Flash forced out. Very nicely done by EDG.
EDG doing a nice job. And, you know, sir, you went on such a, you know, a nice little run of words. Actually, I think both teams are going to be looking up towards no problem. I think both teams probably going to be looking up towards the top side with the matchups that we do have. Does seem like WE, though.
Oh, big damage onto Viper here. I don't think it'll be a kill anytime soon, but that is really rough for the bottom lane of EDG. Big damage under the tower. And in the meantime, Beishang doing this dragon. That's what we call Prio right there, and it's aggressive Prio at that.
Yeah, so W doing a nice job of utilizing that window to get the dragon. Now I think for Beishang, you can start making your way up towards that top side, right? Because we have Jayce versus Renekton, a bit more volatile of a matchup. I think this is where you would love to help and influence.
Oh, the flash from Flandre. He's hit 6 first. Breathe is in trouble. Flashes away himself. And Flandre. No! He didn't finish it. It was so
tragic. Close. It's absolutely tragic much. Oh, he might still go down.
It's okay. Jiejie's going to get the kill. So it all works out in the end. Yeah, he just wanted to give the kill to the jungler, that's all. But maybe he stayed too long now. Scat of the week from Shanks. and it's going to be a trade of kills. Oh, it's a bit of a disaster for EDG.
Yeah, it is a bit disappointing, right? At least you're not really losing out on minions because you see Bree did TP to the mid lane to at least catch something, not fall behind. But man, Flandre would have felt a lot better to be able to pick up that kill when he should have and not put Jiejie in harm's way. Hopefully we get a bit of a replay of that one to see. I wonder like what abilities were still up, right? Preemptively went for the flash, which I think was nice to cut off the path of Breathe and make sure he's able to follow up with the slice and dice, but turning around, maybe doing like what you said earlier, right? The whole cool guys don't look at explosions type feel going on.
He wanted to put his shades on, but that's a Beishang move. That's a copyrighted play right there. Meiko gets away from the 2v2. I'm hoping we'll get a replay, but I think maybe just shenanigans could occur. Let's take another look.
Yeah, so doesn't have Slice and Dice up just yet. A good amount of Fury available. Flashes in for the W. Luckily, Slice and Dice is just about to be up, so is able to follow through with the damage. And just, I mean, he just misread it, right? Went for the E away, thinking he'd be able to get the kill off that, because he could have just autoed and then went for the E. Jiejie was already on his way up here, so not sure if that was maybe, you know, communicated about, hey, it's not a big deal. But with that, it opens up for the Shanks roam because Shanks has Prio in the mid lane, can make his way over at any time, and then pick up that kill onto Jiejie.
And I feel like Prio is the new buzzword, right? We always talk about Prio. It's kind of like Tempo was a couple of years ago, where if you don't understand what Prio is, Shanks can push Scout in endlessly, and that's the result that we get to see. Shanks can just leave the mid lane. Scout has to be farming underneath his tower. So it gives the advantage to WE, and we can see that right there. And on top of that, because these waves are constantly crashing, you can see a 10 CS advantage for Shanks. You can see a 10 CS advantage for Elk in the bottom lane as well. So very good start here for WE. Not accruing into a gold lead just yet, but managing to find themselves at least that first Drake. Second Drake will be Cloud as well, which is positive for WE, as they could look towards a bit more of an impactful soul here.
EDG have numbers advantage.
They
I mean,
do,
WE have numbers advantage, I'm sorry.
Viper's on his way. He's in the mid lane right now. This could well be a 5v5 as Breathe is up on the top side, pincering right now. Elk trying to play from the back line. Viper needs to be a little cautious. He's stood on a ward. He's going to be slowed. Flashes away from the scat of the week. He's forced out of the play, at least for the time being. Beishang wants to go for the smite. Jiejie in trouble. There's a shock blast as well. As there's a two-man dive on each side of the play. It's going to be 1-for-1 so far. As it's absolute chaos on the rift. Elk desperately trying to survive Scout, but he cannot do it. Oh, the flash. It's taken out by a chain lash in the end. I have no idea who got the Herald, and I don't even care.
I think WE were the ones to pick up the Herald. Yes, Beishang has it in his inventory. They're the ones who made the play up towards the top half of River, to where EDG all hitting on bot side. I think that could have been a completely different fight had WE actually been able to pick off Viper right at the start, right? Had the Scout of the Week been able to hit, maybe you chain that into an Enchanted Crystal Arrow after the cleanse comes out. Doesn't happen, does end out pretty even, but at least WE are able to pick up the Herald, and missing even being a total bro, making sure Shanks will be able to get all the minions as well. And you might even have a window right now to look for a play top, but looks like Beishang going to decide against it.
Yeah, there was a ward in the lane as well. Elk, that was a little dicey, I'm not going to lie. That was very close to hitting him. Had no summoners. If Jiejie could have closed the gap, would have been in big trouble. Elk is trying to do this Gromp before Jiejie can move in and steal it, or at least get it reset. The blue buff started here. Beishang is on the total wrong side of the map. He could maybe try and answer onto the blue. I'm not really sure. I think this is just going to go over to EDG.
Yeah, I think for Beishang at this point, right, you'd want to look for a trade up towards top side. Could be a bit worried about Dragon coming up soon and then the potential pressure that is on Elk, but with the fact that EDG are showing in mid lane right now, not too big of a deal. Does look like WE potentially want to set up for a Dragon contest with the fact that he is moving down. He does still have the Herald available, so we'll be able to drop that if they want to try and create tempo and be able to move into the river, while EDG would be left answering that one. And WE gonna clear out vision.
All right, WE in control. They got the first Drake of the game, and they'd love to get themselves a second one, but Jiejie over the wall. And doing a little bit better on the smites than Jiejie was earlier on in this series. So you feel like he could probably contest this one if he wants to. EDG are definitely going to fight, though. Look at the positioning. Scout trying to get behind. Unleashed power into the Scout of the Week. There's no way out. An arrow comes in. That was beautiful from WE.
I really like the way they play that one, right? Sure, they get on the Drake, but they're all hovering around mid because they know that Scout's alone waiting for him to walk forward. And they set that one up. They do end up losing the Drake, though, so EDG at least gets something but still, they committed a TP. Breed's winning out in gold and top. You got an advantageous trade for gold in mid, and you're even going to try and answer this blue buff. But with Meiko here, doesn't seem like WWE can get it.
But Syndra exists, so it doesn't matter. They can just take that one. Oh, no! The reset! He didn't have his smite. Look at it waddle. Okay, Breed's in trouble now. He has a splash available for himself. Could be still in a bit of pickle, but dodges the stun. Gets himself out to safety. No blue buff taken. Just an amusing... I don't even know what we saw. Oh, there's a stun onto Meiko. Nothing is going to happen. A lot of nothing happening over the last minute.
Ooh, we do have plates going over in bot side, though. Viper does have to be careful. Luckily, no Enchanted Crystal Arrow is up, so actually not too much threat onto him. And then we kind of get a glimpse of what we saw over the past minute, right? Gold trade being in favor of WE in terms of like waves and plates top and the kill mid, but EDG getting the dragon. So about a 1k gold lead for WE right now. It does seem like some resets do have to come out from their bottom lane, and we are going to finally go into the replay again. WE don't full on commit to the dragon. They're leaning towards top side because they know Scout's alone. Shank's going in with the ult to set up more spears to get a nice easy scatter of the weak onto Scout, and then he's able to pick that one up. So nice play coming out from Shanks. And
it reminds me of the support Syndra we used to see all those years ago, right? Where you would see, you'd always see the unleashed power first and then the scatter the weak to be able to stun the entire team. And it was like, I remember that combo being mind-blowing at the time, which says a lot about how far League of Legends has come, right? That you could just sequence the abilities different. Yeah, who would have thought? Here we go. Herald down to the bottom side, though. And it will be gold given over to Elk. Assuming they can get that to crash, though. It is still a long old waddle towards that bottom lane tower. I think Elk should be able to guarantee this, though.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, even look at the minimap, right? Beishang and Missing are both already here. They can just make their way down, zone this off. So we're EDG now going to be forced to look for a cross-map play, start heading up towards top, and set some plates up for Flandre, but WE might actually even be able to get this turret and even guarantee another charge. I mean, you don't have TP on either one of your soul laners. WE can just force this. And even Shank's doing a nice job of trying to zone out Scout for moving down.
Yeah, very nicely done. And Flandre will be able to answer with 2 plates, but I don't know, 2 plates doesn't seem worth it for maybe 2 towers
Beishang
in the bottom side. Beishang looking for the dive. He's on to Pipe here. Stun comes in. The flash and the cleanse. There's an arrow onto Meiko. He flashes as well. Knockups onto both. But WE back away in the end because they're happy to collect themselves a tier 2. Beautiful map plays coming out from WE. Now the answer as Scout moves in. Shank's in trouble here. The Scout of the week. Not going to be used just yet. You can see something happening in the top side as well, as I believe it was Breathe just kicking Flandre away from the tower.
So nice gold trade now opening up for WE, right? Almost more than 2k gold lead at this point. We're going to see how the plates have been distributed, with a lot of them going on to Elk, as he's one with 1,000 gold lead on himself. So that's pretty much where the whole lead is for the side of Team WE. Flandre finally going to be able to pick this one up, though. We're looking at Dragon coming up soon. Resets coming out about similar times. EDG are the team that has, you know, both Sylas and Renekton. So Sylas going to do a lot better in sides compared to Syndra, and then Renekton going to be able to safely push out for himself as well. So I want to see the push come out from Scout towards that bottom half of the map, start making his way up towards mid while Viper is left catching waves, and make your way towards the top half of the map for that Rift Herald.
So I think we might have a bit of a brawl for this one. That said, though, Scout is actually in the bottom lane. I was thinking he had TP, but he does not have that available for the time being. WE have Breathe sitting in the base. He does have TP. He can join in on a play if they find a window onto EDG here. Scout starting to move up as Herald. Will reset. WE are the ones in control right now.
I think this is fine for EDG, though. As long as you can posture and make sure that they're not doing Herald right, you bought time for Scout to push out that bot wave, and he's already here.
Breathe is just going to walk over as well instead of using that TP. EDG gets stunned, but they still manage to get themselves that mid-prio so they can move towards their Herald once again. Neither team wants to let this go without a fight. We've got a 15-minute 5v5 on our hands here, Lyric, as the Hawk Shot goes in. Vision acquired. Meiko down to half with a good shock blast from Breathe. WE trying to find a way to muscle into the pit here. Damage coming through. Elk waiting off to the side. Look at him looking for an arrow. It's going to be low, though, and it's taken by EDG. There's the arrow in. Only onto Meiko, though. Shock blast. Oh, that's going to be an Everfrost onto Elk. He's going to get away for now as Beishang turns golden, stun onto Flandre, jumps down from the sky with the lightning and shocks him into oblivion. Now to the top side is EDG, desperately trying to get underneath their towers. A chair comes out though. Meiko with the re-engage, 3-man knockup. Is the damage there from EDG though? Jiejie can't follow. This is Scout of the Week. The slow, more chairs as they look for more. But it's going to be WE picking up a couple of kills, but EDG got that Herald.
If WE take the fight, I feel like a big thing for them was the fact that Scout didn't have his hijack available. His Syndra ultimate timed out, didn't have anything else that he was able to pick up. And it felt like EDG were in a really awkward place, right? WE were able to find it, so WE take the fight. They get more objectives off the back of that. They get top turret. Recalls are going to come out a bit later than EDG, so I'll be interested to see how the Dragon goes. But Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out. WE walk forward. EDG will still be able to pick up the Herald with Flandre muscling his way in, but after the stopwatch, Beishang set up for a really nice ultimate onto Flandre after all the damage had already come out from Shanks with his ultimate as well. And then Beishang can keep running forward because Scout's already said, peace, I'm out, boys. And Jiejie now not having the Heartbreaker available, maybe could have found something here to turn it around, but in the end, nothing.
We've got the blue buff being taken. That is WE taking their own as the TP comes through. We got a dragon on our hands now, so potentially another 5v5 back-to-back. I love how those last couple of kills from that fight, Beishang wasn't even trying to go for them. He was trying to go for Jiejie, but Jiejie hits the blast code and throws the bear at his teammates. And it meant that Beishang could look for more. Herald in the bottom lane. It buys Prio. EDG start this Drake off, and it looks like WE gonna concede.
WE realizing that they don't have tempo to be able to get on this soon enough, right? EDG were coming off their bases first anyway because they were the ones that had members going down. So they're going to be able to get vision down in that bottom half. They should be fine. And now for EDG, just to fall back to that 1-3-1 setup that we talked about, push in your sides, start having Scout and Flandre make their way over. I think Jiejie probably actually wants to play with Scout rather than Flandre and looking for that mid-jungle setup that we were hitting on last game. And for the side of W, I think you're the ones that actually want to group up as 5. You're the ones that, sure, you can have, you know, Breathe answering sides or Syndra catching it when it's in your tower. But when you're looking for your windows to make plays, you're just sending 5 mid and looking for a pick, probably with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Got Jiejie moving towards the top side here, but Breathe, well aware of what's going on. He's going to play this one safe. Or is he? He's going to play this one for a couple of crooks. As Jiejie shows now, Breathe will be okay. Jiejie just gets himself 13 gold. Meiko wants to make a play, but it's not going to happen for the time being. And I want to remind everyone that the last time WE made it this far in playoffs, it was 2017. They went on to win that split of the LPL. And it feels like this is a team that has the potential to have a deep, deep run in playoffs. They already have. They've made it to the top 4. And EDG now is the hurdle stopping them making it to the semi-finals. This is such an important game. There is so much pressure on WE to just finish this one off and make history for the organization.
Yeah, though we do have kind of postures and inklings of a fight starting to come out. EDG, they do get the Volibear ultimate on the Scout. Flandre pushing in that bot wave, but he does have teleport available. So I feel like the second Shanks shows on bot wave is when EDG want to be really aggressive in the top side jungle, because Shanks doesn't have teleport. Shanks is going to have to dedicate a lot of time to clearing out that wave, and EDG are doing exactly what I just said.
Yeah, they're moving up to the top side here. Breathe needs to be careful. Does have his flash available, but he's stunned here. Could be in trouble. Heartbreaker available as well. And I'm going to go for the dive. I thought EDG was going to pull the trigger. Back away. They managed to get a summoner spell, though, out of Breathe. I'd call that a win.
I mean, they still got something for it, right? Because all they had to dedicate was Flandre pushing in an extra wave down in bot. So you take that every single time. Now more windows that you can punish enemy team on if Breathe is overextended in a team fight. And at this point in time, I mean, for EDG's comp, right? It's not like you're really able to threaten inner turrets with your 1-3-1. Scout not able to solo dive Breathe. Flandre not able to solo dive as well. So you're just continuously looking to push and move, control vision, and take away jungle camps, which is exactly what EDG are doing now. You do have a bit of siege, but W do have some pretty decent wave clear. But with Syndra bot, they actually might be able to threaten this.
Yeah, they're just going to go for a tower, and Flandre flanking. Well, kind of flanking, I guess. He's off to the side anyway. He's going to be able to threaten enough that WE back away. And as you say, Shanks was down in that bottom lane. Breathe was nowhere to be seen as well, so WE lose a tower. And it's kind of crazy to me that WE are so far ahead in gold, and yet it feels like they have absolutely no control when it comes to placement around the map.
It's just one of those things, right, of how your champions interact with each other, to where WE, sure, they had a lot of early pryos, they had a lot of early ways of finding these kills, and they were trading neutral objectives for kills, but they don't actually have a way that once outer turrets are broken down to be able to threaten with enough pressure to actually be able to beat EDG. Because, sure, you do have this Jayce pick, which can push out on one side, but EDG also have a pick that's going to push out on one side because Shanks cannot go past River regardless of what happens. And you're even in a position where Scout and Flandre are going to be at a point where both of them will be able to take on Breed. So for EDG, feels like they just have more options in terms of playing 3 lanes, playing 2 lanes, or just playing a 1-lane setup in terms of like 5v5s. And WE do respect that. Remember, gold is not even in League of Legends. One champion's gold is not equal to another's. I'd much rather have 3,000 gold on a champion like Sylas rather than 3,000 gold on a champion like Syndra. Your gold does go a longer way. Though, speaking of gold, Scout is pretty far behind in terms of CS. Woo!
He certainly is. Thank you for the TED Talk there. I appreciate that lyric. And
No problem.
welcome to any potential LCK viewers that are coming over after the LCK's finished. And I'm sure this is the kind of gameplay you guys are used to, where we have a lot of posturing. Not a whole lot happening. Here we go. Junja looking for the fight. TP behind the team from Flandre. This is a huge flank. WE need to find some kind of miracle, but the arrow comes on in. The stuns are there. Breathe over the wall. It's a nice to the skies, but it's not going to be enough. EDG winning out this fight. It's 1-for-1 so far, though, as WE start to re-engage. The slows from this Braum and this Ashe make it so difficult to aggress. Now Viper in trouble. Oh, the unleashed power, the scatter the week available.
Oh, so close.
An inch away from glory, and Shanks now could be the one to go down instead. EDG flipped the play on its head. They take everybody out, and missing. It's just a ping at this point.
And the Baron is up, so EDG having a nice prize that they're able to turn to. I love the way EDG played that one, taking it slow, waiting for champions like Sylas and Viego to get their rotations of spells up. And this series in LPL history has always gone the distance, every single time, and EDG are looking to do it once again.
They want to maintain that record because EDG have never lost this series in playoffs either. Every single time it goes the distance, and every single time EDG comes out on top. WE have started off with a 2-0 lead, but it's starting to fall apart for them. EDG, some exceptional team fighting.
Yeah, I love the flank coming out from Flandre. Scout starts it with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, flash over. Looks like they didn't actually combo CC too well. Maybe I'm nitpicking on that one. They do keep going in, though. But like you said, fighting into this Braum Volibear combo feels quite rough. Meiko gets taken down, but champions like Viego and Sylas, they just need to wait for those cooldowns to come back up. Shanks, so unfortunate on the Scout of the Week, so close, but it buys the time that I was just talking about. Scout able to jump back in, opens up for Junja to be able to get one of those possessions, and they're able to take the fight in the end. So a bit unfortunate for Shanks coming out with that Scout of the Week. It was so close to hitting and maybe working out, but nice by Scout to recognize the opportunity, because it feels like Scout has been a bit quieter this series. It feels like Scout, I'd say, very amazing early split, one of the best mid laners, still a great mid laner in the second half, but we need to see those carry performances that he was giving backs in like week 1 through 5. Everything was on his back.
And it feels like he's fine. I mean, this is one of the picks, right? This is one of the picks that he succeeded on. Yes, the laning phase got a bit harder on the Sylas, but Scout still bringing it to the stage and showing that it's a worthwhile pick. This Viego working out for Junja as well. And to remind everyone, Junja being subbed in halfway through this series, he has played a singular game this entire split. And guess what? It was against WE, and it didn't look pretty. Now we see the siege as the Baron is in the pocket of EDG. They're looking to try and close things out. They still only have a 2,000 gold lead, though. Let's not overstate it. WE are certainly not out of the running just yet.
No, and the thing is, WE do have a ton of burst damage, right? If one mistake, one misstep comes out from the side of EDG, a Scout of the Week, an Enchanted Crystal Arrow, all the burst is there, especially if Breathe is there for an accelerated shock blast as well. The thing is, if we do get elongated fights, is where EDG are in advantage. I think you look at WE, you think burst. You look at EDG, you think consistent damage coming out with champions like Sylas, Viego. So, going to be interesting to see how this one does play out. Scout looking for an angle.
Yeah, look at Scout. He's got himself that Volibear ult as well. That's a huge amount of damage in the pocket of Sylas. He's 2 items at this point as the siege continues in this mid lane. It is just straight up 5v5 in the mid lane. Viper down to half his HP. That's a shock blast and a half right there. He's low, but he's not died, and that's all that matters because the tower goes down. Scout, time's out on the ulti. He wasn't just inting, I promise. Sylas ults run out of time, okay, guys?
But you know what else runs out of time, Munchables? I
Don't
have
say
no
WE.
idea. I have no idea how I was going to
I thought you were going to hit me with the WE there. I thought you were going to slap me with that, and I was scared. I was real scared.
No, Munch. I feel like when you're against EDG on the Rift, there's always a chance to come back in the game. No disrespect to EDG. They're doing quite well this game, right? It's looking good. Everything's there. Junja coming in. Scout, like we said, having the magnificent performance. But we default back to a bit of normal EDG. Not really any way of opening the Rift. You do still have the inner turret down in bot that you can try to play for. But I feel like now you're just waiting for next Drake to come up. Maybe you're waiting for another Baron because it is quite hard to siege down structures that WE has available when they are grouped up as a unit.
And you know, Lyric, we could have a long game on our hands here because when it comes to Elder and Baron being the tools that you need to finish a game out, well, we have 2 Drakes on either side. And it's going to be Mountain Drake as well. So while it helps you with the team fighting, it's not like an Infernal Drake where it means that you can just blow people up a little bit harder, right? It's definitely going to be a bit difficult, Shanks, though.
No.
Oh, no. You've gone too far, mate. He's been having such a good series, but this game, the misplay onto Viper and now overstepping in the top side, it's not a good look.
I mean, how far forward is he, right? He's at his inner turret brush, and they just have a ward there. They make the TP play. They cut through mid. Really nice coming out from the side of EDG. And great time to get the kill, right? Because now they have Scout push out one more wave. They start making their way down towards that bottom side with Dragon coming up in 40 seconds. They should be able to brute force vision from the fact that on the map they have a numbers advantage, and then they should be able to secure themselves the 3rd Drake based on all those factors.
We'll see if they're going to be able to. 25 seconds. The Scout resets, goes back to base, has that teleport available. And EDG have complete control of the area right now. Meiko going to drop the sweeper to try and remove WE vision, but they've got an Ashe, so your sweeper can only do so much. Scout TP's below the play here to that tri-brush, and honestly, just the space that buys should be enough for EDG to grab themselves a Drake. WE, are they threatening the idea of a Baron, maybe a mid lane tower? They're certainly threatening a trade of objectives right here, but they don't have much of a wave remaining. Viper's here to try and contest as the Dragon is going down. In the meantime, WE dodged narrowly on that chain of corruption. That was close from Viper. Not quite close enough. Scout pushing up aggressively, taking this tower, and suddenly EDG, they've got the inside track.
Yeah, and EDG also can just start making their way down towards the bottom lane turret, the last inner turret available. Get that one, and then looking even better in terms of the gold trade. WE doing what they can. They know they can't brute force their way into River, trying to threaten with that mid lane turret. Nice job by EDG to not over allocate resources towards the Dragon and still be able to posture and push off the members of WE. So now we get back into this, I'd say, push and pull. We are Baron's coming up on the Rift though, so always something potentially able to happen. I will say EDG are one of the only teams that we haven't actually seen a lot of Baron plays come out from, right? It was the FPXs, the top esports, even the WEs. These sort of teams would always be like, okay, we're gonna go for a Baron play.
So what you're saying is the Mojo-based teams are the ones that are willing to go for the Baron plays. Yep. So this does feel like Legacy versus Mojo, to be quite honest, at this point, is WE trying to posture, but there's no way that they could start Baron off, at least for the time being. EDG still feel like they're in control. So, Lyric, I want to ask, talk me through the situation that has to occur for WE to get control of this game, because it does feel like this is EDG setting the pace, right? This is EDG that control everything. How did WE play this game out? Because they're certainly not down and out. They're not that far behind a goal.
No, WE just going to have to open a window where EDG can win somewhere more where they can win. And to kind of explain on that, right, if you have Flandre pushing up in top lane right now and Viper pushing out mid, you have to say, okay, we're going to give up mid lane wave, maybe we'll lose a wave, maybe we'll even open track from the push out inhibitor turret, but we're going to commit 4 members to go kill Flandre. You now have an access point onto something like a Baron, you now are able to force him off of that mid lane play, and you have like an avenue back into the game. The big thing is, you have to be able to turn that into a worthwhile prize.
Yeah, it's all about trying to trade up, right? It's like playing the stock market. buy low, sell high, or something. Okay. This is not financial advice. Please don't listen to me. We'll see if WE are going to be able to do better than I do on crypto. We're going to see EDG moving forward aggressively, trying to get some vision, some deeper vision, because WE are doing a very good job of denying deep vision from EDG here and managing to at least maintain some presence around the area.
I mean, I feel like this is a good thing for WE about being on red side, is being on red side, having these poke and long-range champions over Baron Pit means they'll always be able to threaten EDG if they start up that one. And speaking of threatening, man, these, Chains of Corruption just not landing. Not able to find that engage that they were hoping for.
Not ideal there from Viper, but it's not too huge of a cooldown either. You do get it up fairly quickly, and WE actually now the ones in control of the Baron Pit, but Scout is up behind them. He's in a flank position. A TP, Meiko taken down to half, so he's missing though, and they've caught a couple of members of WE with the trousers down. Beishang flubs the ult as well, and EDG have found themselves a window, missing, desperately trying to disengage. The Heartbreaker forward, jumping forward, but the arrow denies it. Scout will not be stopped though. Nothing can deny his aggression. Flandre cuts another one through as Breathe is left with nothing in the world. EDG have taken control.
And finding the massive pick onto Shanks to start all of that up. EDG now going to be able to turn this into a Baron. And again, it just feels like EDG have been the team that have been in control. Didn't even matter earlier on when they had a gold deficit. I'm going to pause though. Maybe Breathe can pull out some sort of heroics. Ooh,
oh no. We've seen him miss it twice in a row, but when it matters the most, Viper hits his target, sets up the kill, denies any shenanigans, and will guarantee the Baron for EDG. If they weren't ahead before, they sure as heck are now.
And now we look at it, right? All of their waves are pushed out. They're going to have Baron buff. Ooh, being homies,
oh, they're waiting for Scout.
Yep. Waiting for Scout to come up, so they have 5 Baron buffs. And we're going to go straight to the replay. Scout pushing out top wave. They have TP on Flandre, so they have the collapse. They're able to pincer these guys in. Really nice ultimate coming out from Meiko. And then Junja just in there as well. Beishang, like you said, not able to find the ultimate out. And then that was all the picks that EDG really needed to be able to go forward. Scout is going to throw away his life in the end to find one more. But in the end, still massive win for EDG. They had all the waves pushed out before we came into the replay. They also had Baron buff, so they're going to be able to secure the fact that they have control of the bottom half of the map before we do get to this Drake. And this should be a soul for the side of EDG. WE probably going to look to contest, but it feels quite hard. Actually, Munch, they're not even going to be here in time.
Yeah, I don't think they can go anywhere near this one, because this is a primed and ready EDG squad that can dominate in a 5v5 at this point. And the idea of being able to kite back with the Braum and the Volibear, with the Ashe, the Syndra, with the Scatter Weeks, right? The idea was that you can just hold them at arm's length, but doesn't feel like that's an opportunity that's available anymore, as Meiko trying to get some deeper vision. Flandre pushing with the wave. And EDG, they want to turn this Baron into some towers.
EDG going to be looking towards this bottom side. WE always need to be careful. A lot of poke going to come out from Viper as well, and they even already have pushed in top. You see that Scout is pushing out mid lane, so Scout just needs to force this wave in and start pulling some members of WE back towards that mid lane turret.
Yep, and that'll open up this bottom lane for EDG, who is still going with these Baroned up minions. They've got another wave arriving, and WE are going to have to back away. Missing, taking a massive chunk. Elk trying to get some volleys out, but it's just not going to really do much of anything. WE now encapsulated in their base. They have no way out. Only miracle plays can save them at this point. Junja looks for a way into the base, gets a stun down. Meiko tanking up a shock blast or two, but guess what? They gave the blue buff over to Viper, so EDG can sit here all day long. Junja moves to the mid lane. He'll be able to finish off an inhib tower already, and the siege continues on the bottom side as the arrows just fly in over and over again. Relentless from EDG as they break this base open, and they make it look easy.
And they can just keep on going. W going to be the ones forced to try and find and engage onto them. The poke will come out, but still, if it's not connecting, doesn't mean too much. And even EDG having a decent amount of sustain on a lot of their critical champions. So they can take this one slow. They can rely on the damage coming out from Viper and wait for an opportunity to present itself.
Could be a last-ditch effort here for WE. Is EDG posturing to try and finish things off? But here's the thing. I don't even know how you make a last-ditch effort from the side of WE at this point. The damage that is coming through from EDG. Great scatter of the week, but no follow-up. Scout flashes in. Gets a huge ulti onto everyone. See ya later, WE. There's nothing left in the tank as EDG just blast them. Here we go. Elk actually firing out a lot of arrows here, but they just don't do any damage, Lyric. There was a lot of arrows, and none of them did anything.
No, still, though, it might be enough to push them back. Actually, Flandre's TP, they're not being pushed back. This is going to be the end of the game, Munchables. EDG can just keep going.
The
and
TP's come back in. Jiejie threatens the dive onto the fountain. The Nexus is bare. And EDG, they push us to game number 5.
You love to see it. Every single time this series has happened in playoffs, it has gone the distance. In Munchables, there's probably way more narrative that the people honestly don't want to hear, but they need it, Munchables. Give us the narrative.
Look, WE has never beaten EDG in the playoffs, and every single time they've played, it's gone the distance. They started this series off with a 2-0 advantage in favor of WE, and EDG have 2 games back-to-back. And the most crucial thing is this isn't even the EDG roster that we've seen all split. They played 2 games with Jiejie, subbed him out, and now Jiejie has come in, and he's the savior of EDG. He's the man that's making it happen.
Yeah, he comes in and things just work, right? Great performance in game 1. This time around, Scout popping off, Viper putting up the damage, and WE just with no answer. Shanks especially getting punished so much in a lot of these rotations. I think this time around, EDG doing a good job of how they were utilizing the pressure that Scout was able to put out on a side lane, and were able to play around that quite consistently, and WE just couldn't find the answers. It looked close early on. They had those pryos, they had the push, they had the numbers advantages, but once it came down to that mid game, I mean, EDG's comp just was able to outshine, and WE weren't able to find the picks that they needed to find, right? We talked about potentially all letting on one side, opening up risks somewhere else. They weren't able to do that. EDG really covering their bases quite well, and yeah, EDG bringing this one back. I'll be honest, Munch, I said it after game 2, said it after game 3. I thought EDG were done for. I thought EDG were down and out. It is very hard to come back from the I don't even know how to put it. I don't even know how to put it. The spanking that they got in game 2, right? That game was like a 10K gold lead at 15 minutes for WE, but they've come back in game 4. They came back in game 3, and now we get a game 5.
And you know what? I'll tell you the secret. I'll tell you the answer. The answer is Jiejie. He is the way, the truth, and the light, apparently, for EDG, because they've come back and Lyric, dare I say it, they're on the cusp of a reverse sweep against WE. I held my tongue for this entire series so far. I daren't say those words, but that's it. We're going to game 5. We're going to jump into a break, and who knows what is going to happen after.